All right, well, let's rock and roll. So thank you guys for coming out. Obviously, we are super thankful to be here at Recover. They're presenting this whole kind of series of Recreation 101. They are a sustainable apparel company. They do all of our merch, sun hoodies, t-shirts. There's actually this super snazzy Sierra Nevada button down, which is sweet. So I'm actually, in honor of the Sierra Nevada button down, I'm drinking a hazy IPA here as well. And we are doing a sale on some of our merch tonight, so we can talk about some of that stuff later. But super thankful that Recover is out here. This is Intro to Last Runner Standing. This is leading up to one of our events. We've got our Psychoactive event coming up in a couple weeks. So we'll talk about some specifics with Psychoactive. We're also just gonna really kind of just broadly talk about Last Runner Standing events to begin with. So, quick special thanks. Again, we'll do some giveaways at the end here, but huge thanks to Recover again. Sierra Nevada, feel free to grab a beer. We'll give away some Black Coffee Roasting Company, which anybody that's done long distance running, they kind of know you may need a little extra go-go juice. So we're gonna have those guys out at all of our events, as well as Guayaki. So it's a caffeinated tea from South America. So again, they're in the cooler as well. Grab that. Joe J Bars keep you energized, and big thanks to Brian and the group at Cedar River Studios for helping us put this up on YouTube. So without further ado, you guys are gonna have to bear with me for a little while. I'm the talking head up here, but I'm basically the village idiot, AKA the head enabler. That's a self-given title I've given myself for Human Power Movement. We're basically just trying to enable you to get active and get moving in different ways. So I love this photo here. This is Branson, who ran Psychoactive last year, our Last Runner Standing event, and that was the longest he had ever run. I think he hit a 50K, his first 50K. So literally our photographer got this great shot of us, kind of giving a high five at one of our prize tiers, and we'll talk about kind of our prize tiers and different formats or different races that they do some stuff. So email address is up there if anybody wants to take a photo of that, or everybody here in the room kind of knows how to get a hold of me. But if anybody watching on YouTube, the email is on there if they have any questions. So again, I'm gonna blabble through that a little bit. All right, real quick overview of tonight. And again, super casual. So again, we can stay on this or we can totally veer off left and right, whatever you guys wanna do. Well, obviously a general overview of Last Runner Standing events just in general. So it's obviously a new kind of unique style of running. It's very different than the typical 5K, 10K as we know. It's not just go up to the start line, follow the arrows, and you're done. There's obviously a lot more that goes into this, which is what makes it so cool. Kind of break down the different formats, the distances, the timing, the rules, the elimination, declining clocks or the standard clock. We'll kind of go through all that kind of stuff, some tiebreakers. And then this is crucial, and we learned this big time last year at Psychoactive. Our Last Runner Standing event is strategy. Again, because this is such a different race than a typical 5K, there's so much more that goes into it. Personally, I was a kinesiology undergrad, which is the study of human movement. I was also a psychology minor. So it's literally combining the physical and the mental. And I just, I love that dynamic when you can kind of combine those two. Again, it's very different. You throw the earphones in and you run the 5K. There's a time and a place for that, 100%. Love doing that, but I love the idea of mashing those two together, the physical and the mental. And that's kind of exactly what Last Runner Standing events are, or time-based events, or there's a lot of alternative style events out there. So the strategy, just kind of like the preparation, the training, the gear, the going into it with a plan is huge in Last Runner Standing events. So we'll go through all that stuff as well. And at the end, we'll do a raffle, again, open Q&A. Feel free to throw questions out there as they pop up. If we're going through it, feel free to just raise your hand or just shout it out, whatever it may be. Love this shot too. This is Renee. She ran last year. She signed up for it again this year. This was literally between the laps. She was getting a quick roller on her hamstring there to kind of get ready for the next the next lap. So kind of a cool shot. All right, so what is a last runner standing event? What is it? How do they work? What's the deal with it? You know, I've heard a lot about it. It's this new kind of running format that's really kind of, I mean, it's not taking over the running industry, but they're becoming more predominant, right? We just saw it. Like there's Richard's introducing one this year. Matt has it's kind of taken over an existing event, but you're adding another event to it. So like these style of events are really kind of getting more and more popular as we go. This is our second year that we'll be doing our event, and it's just a fun, unique way to kind of change up the typical race routine. So they're also known as elimination races, and so actually, Matt's right. Your shirt, right? Mass Extinction is a elimination challenge, right? I mean, that's kind of that's the name of the event. So they can kind of be named a couple different things. One of the big ones that kind of started this, not fad, but started this kind of this concept or this idea is it's called Big's Backyard Ultra. And if anybody out there, I don't know if I'm sure you guys in the room have heard of it, but if anybody watching YouTube has heard of Lazarus Lake, he's the guy that does the Barclays Marathon in Tennessee, which is just, if you haven't heard of it, Google it. One of the most insane races out there. The same race director that does that also started Big's Backyard. His concept was, it was a 4.17 something mile loop. His dog's name is Big, so, or Biggs or something like that. So it was basically every hour you run this same 4.17 mile loop, and you literally just keep running it every hour on the hour until there's only one person remaining. I forget this last year. I think it was somebody ran 86 hours. We need to spot check me on that, but 86 hours, which equates to, how many miles is that? What's 4 miles times 86? I'm not good at math, but it's something like 300 miles or something outrageous. So again, I probably messed up my math, but that's kind of, you know, that's one example of this style of last runner standing events or elimination races. As we said, these are lap based. So again, there's not a start line and a finish line, and once you cross that finish line, you're done. There's no end distance, right? There's obviously an end to each lap, but there's no end distance, because as long as people keep completing that lap in the allotted time, they can kind of go forever. You can see here, participants start each lap at predetermined times. So again, here's where we'll go into some variation in formats. I know, Matt, on yours, you have a declining clock as well. Some people don't do a declining clock. Our event, Psychoactive, does have a declining clock. Basically, declining clock means the longer you go, the less and less time you have to complete that lap. But all these events, at least that I'm aware of, I guess it doesn't have to be, but all events have the standard lap distance. The lap distance doesn't change over the course of that event. The time you may have less time to complete it, but the lap distance doesn't change. So there's really only kind of two. So again, I think I have it on here. There's no like sanctioning body for this, right? It's not like a USA track and field sanctioned or a USA triathlon sanctioned thing. So there's not like this set number of rules. The two main rules, and each event may have their own kind of unique rules, but the two main rules in this style of racing are, if you don't complete a lap, if participants don't complete a lap within the allotted or pre-designated time, then they're eliminated, or if they don't start a lap on time. And that can be for any number of reasons. If they just, you know, are sluggish kind of getting out of their own little HQ area, and they don't leave with everybody else. Some people will institute a kind of like a window where you can start, like you have to start within 10 or 15 seconds of the go for that particular lap. So if someone's kind of like, you know, fumbling around with their bag and they can't get their stuff and they leave at, 16 seconds after everyone else does, then you could be eliminated at that stage. Or if you're just like, I just can't go any further, and you don't start the lap, then obviously you would be eliminated for that one as well. And then the big one, the main rule I think in all this is you just keep going until there's one person left. And so that's what's so, in my opinion, and obviously I'm going to get excited as I start talking about it, but that's just one of such a cool part of this. There's one winner, but the cool part is everybody can make it their own race. Everybody can set their own goals. I can say, hey, maybe I want to run my first half marathon, or my first, 20 miles, or I just want to go for 4 hours, or whatever time that you want to do. And so there's kind of these mini competitions all within the major competition. Only one winner, but you'll see a lot of races, and I know, again, Matt does. We'll see what you're going to kind of do with your event, Richard, but we institute kind of these prize increments. That doesn't mean you're winning anything. There's only one winner. But if you hit certain distances, you kind of collect prizes along the way. So there's kind of increasing prizes as you go. So again, that's how we do it. Not all races do it, but that's kind of another wrinkle that we throw into it. So each race is kind of unique and different. Does this all make sense so far? Pretty. There it is. Love it. All right, let me wet my whistle here. All right, so, and again, feel free to ask questions. This is kind of a quick overview. Again, trying to give you guys the basics and trying to give the viewers on YouTube some kind of a baseline stuff, but if there's any specific questions, feel free to jump in there. So different aspects, the three kind of main aspects that can kind of differ from different last runner standing events are how they kind of approach the laps, right? Again, Big's backyard, as we said, it was kind of in that 4.12, something like that range. Our particular event, as you can see on the bottom bullet point here, for Psychoactive is a 1.35 mile loop. I know when I did Mass Extinction last year, I think it was 1.1 maybe? Yeah, so Richard, yours is gonna be a 5K, right? Yep. So again, all the lap distances can kind of vary, but all of them are gonna kind of be lap based. The timing is gonna kind of vary. Again, some will have declining clocks, some will have static clocks, and obviously the rules can kind of vary between each one. Excuse me. So, on lap-based, right? All events are lap-based, as we said before. I haven't seen any that the laps change. When we were kind of creating Psychoactive, our venue and the trail system that we kind of have, and it's on a private farm, so it's a super small, it's not this 50-mile trail system, but it's the cool thing is that we've talked to the farm owners, and they have multiple kind of options. So we actually, and I don't think we're going to do it this year, but we could actually alternate. Here's, even laps go this way, odd laps go this way. Again, it's kind of as you can see in the second bullet point, there's no standard or there's no sanction or there's no kind of like set defined way to do this. So each race director is going to kind of come up with their own unique ways of doing it. Again, I keep kind of referencing, some of the ones I'm familiar with and locally here, but I know for Mass Extinction, there was one year that the race HQ kind of started in a different location, you kind of have messed with going around different directions, right?
Because people have been like, I prefer this route versus this route.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing random.
Oh, are you?
Every lap will be random.
Yeah, so that's
I haven't announced that, but now I guess I am.
the public premiere of the new. So that's what's cool about this style of racing, right? And you guys can relate as event promoters and race directors. Half of it's just love messing with people, right? Like you just want to screw with people, right? If you're going to sign up for a last runner standing event, you kind of, you're looking for something different or unique than the typical 5K or 10K. So that's pretty cool. We've thought long and hard about doing some of that stuff. Like I said, I don't think we're going to do that this year for Psychoactive. We've changed the route from last year, but I don't think we're going to do that yet. There's some other wrinkles we're throwing into it. So, but that's a perfect example. I love that. Similar to, like I said, I mentioned Laz earlier. They do the Barclays Marathon. They kind of do the same thing. That's a different race all in itself, but they do 5 laps of a 20-mile loop, and they alternate going clockwise or counterclockwise. So again, it's just a different way for for race directors to keep the runners on their toes, I guess. Any question on lap based? Again, it's pretty, I'm trying to keep it pretty high level here. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. So timing, again, here's another kind of fun one that anybody, you can kind of have fun with it from a race director standpoint. And in my opinion, I think it's fun to make this unique and to make it interesting, because as we get to this pace chart, you'll kind of see why some of these races can get boring a little bit in the beginning, right? And we'll get into that later, but timing can kind of make it fun and unique. I will 100% admit that I have implemented for our event a declining clock, partially because I don't want some badass to be out there running for 6 days. I got other stuff to do. I'm not interested in watching some badass run for 6 days straight. I'm like, I'm gonna put a declining clock to make sure that at some stage everybody gets knocked out at a reasonable level. So if there's anybody watching that's like looking for that, 300-mile race, our events are not for you, but that's okay. The amount of time deducted from the clock is up to the race director if they do declining clock. Again, Matt helped me out here, but I think at least the one I did was each lap it dropped 9 seconds or something like that.
That's 10 seconds.
Oh, it's 10
16
seconds.
drops 10 seconds every lap.
Okay.
Easier math.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to bring it up. I loved when I did it, it was 9 seconds. And I love that because as a participant, you couldn't do the math. You're just like, what the hell? What the hell is wrong with this? But that makes it way more difficult on the race director. So it's kind of, I can see where you're going with it. You're like, I'm not doing that. So, but my point is on the timing, if it is a declining clock, that is totally up to the race director. They may do all kinds of funky stuff. Again, the part of the idea is that, as promoters and race directors, we want to kind of mess with people to create kind of that totally kind of screwed up experience for them. Last bullet point here, each race director should have some sort of pace chart or lap schedule or some, clearly you need to have a ballpark idea of what you're getting into. So we'll actually pull ours up here for Psychoactive. This is officially the first time that it'll be unveiled. We'll shoot this out to all of our race participants, obviously well before our event. But that'll be kind of cool. You can kind of see, what pace you need to keep to maintain in order to finish the lap on time. You also, we kind of put in there where the prize levels are, time of day, all that kind of stuff. So a good example of that. One thing, let me go back to this too. So just to clarify, on last runner standing events, you can't, let's say you need to run use our example, 1.35 mile lap and you have 15 minutes to run it. Let's say you run that in 10 minutes. You can't just go on and start another lap. Like you have to start that next lap at that predetermined time. So that's the challenge of this whole thing is, you have to run fast enough to complete that lap, but you can't just start your next one. Everything is really kind of defined. So again, we'll kind of explain that a little bit more in the pace chart. In my rules. So there you go. I'm getting ahead of myself. Each participant must start each lap together, right? You can't start the lap early. That's obviously one of the main rules. We talked about kind of the two ways you can get eliminated if you don't start the lap at the appropriate time, or if you don't finish the lap by that time window. So you have to finish the lap before that clock really hits to zero. At least for our events, each lap starts over, right? So once that clock hits zero, the next lap starts immediately. So the clock never really stops in a last runner standing event. Totally different than like you can walk through an aid station or hell, you can stop and hang out or take a nap at an ultra, but for a last runner standing, that clock never stops. So that's kind of like one of these key things that it's always in the back of your mind. Like we said before, obviously each event is different. There's no standardized way to do this. So, roles, formats, prizes, pricing, distances, all that stuff is going to vary from event to event. For the RDs out there, what am I missing? What are some unique things that maybe you want to add from your personal experience or from your race perspective that I may not have hit on here? Again, trying to keep it high level, but I know there's so many unique different ways to do it. So what else you got? I'm putting you on the spot.
You hit most. You were hitting all the stuff with mass extinction for the most part. That's everything that you said. There is so much variety between them too. So you can find one that's more conducive to your type of running style. Mm-hmm. And the best thing about these events is that speed isn't king out there. It's a great equalizer for all people to be out there. And you might get an opportunity to run with people that you normally wouldn't be able to run with, because if you were in a 5K with these people, they're dropping 4-minute miles and you're just puttering along at 10 or 12. Where this one, it doesn't really benefit you unless it's, and I'm sure you're going to get to this, unless it's part of your strategy up front to try to have more time in between each laps or whatever with that. But it's a great style, and there's so many varieties out there that you can really pick your favorite.
And we'll go into that strategy a little bit later, because I think that's a great point, because, excuse me, but strategy varies, right? There's no exact way to approach these events. I mean, it all kind of depends on what you're trying to do. And if you have your own kind of personal goal versus, your overarching, like, hey, I want to be the winner, that may be a different strategy versus I just want to go out and run my first 10 miles, whatever it may be.
Do you typically see, when it comes down to the final two, is it like, do they both go out and like one drops, or if one's like done at the end of that lap, that last person has to like...
Yeah, so that's where it gets really fun, because usually everyone's just completely exhausted at that point. And that's where with like tiebreakers come into effect too. So it could be, theoretically, it could be that like, there's down to two people and they both run a lap and they finish underneath, they finish within the appropriate time. And it's all right, well, they're both struggling. They both go out and neither of them finish. So like who wins at that point? So you need kind of like a tiebreaker. Like, all right, who finished the previous lap first? Because they both got knocked out at the same time. So the winner would be whoever finished the previous lap first or something like that, right? So like that goes into this whole like, okay, wait a second, though, when you get down to those two people, they have to be thinking about that. Can they finish 1 second faster in case that they don't finish the next one? Right. Exactly. 100%. Yeah. And so last year, I'll give you an example of Psychoactive for last year. And again, so there's really no specific answer to your question. I'll give you an example. Last year it was down to the final two, and one of our good buddies, Brian, he was using Psychoactive as a training run for his first 100-miler, which was coming up in like 3 or 4 weeks after. And so he before the event set a goal saying, hey, I'm just going to run 50, like 50 miles. I don't care where I rank. I don't care how long it takes. I don't, just run. I'm using it as a training run. Obviously, he got all caught up in the excitement. He ended up second place, or he ended up in the top two. The top person was gunning for it. Like, he was locked in. And Brian was like, wait a second, I'm not going to go out and hurt myself and ruin my 100-mile race coming up in a couple weeks. So he just kind of bowed out. And the first place guy, he did finish that lap. But I'm trying to think back, and we'd have to check the results, but if the first place guy maybe didn't finish that lap, it would have defaulted to whoever finished that previous lap first, and that may have been Brian. So even though he kind of went out saying, hey, I'm kind of throwing in the towel, something could have happened to the guy that actually won, where he rolled an ankle or whatever and didn't complete it. Even though Brian thought he was going out, he could have theoretically won based on who would have been first across that line on the previous lap. So again, I mean, that's just this whole mental, physical thing where you don't know what the other guy's doing. Caleb is the guy that won. Caleb didn't know Brian's plans. Brian wasn't sure what Caleb's plans were. So it was this whole mental, warfare that was going on. And Brian knew he was going to bow out, but could have kind of inadvertently won if if Caleb didn't happen to finish that final lap. So it gets really funky when you start to get down to the end of it. So that I think is a microcosm of why I love this style of racing. Again, I told you, Branson, first time he'd ever run a 50K, like that dude was just wildly, he was just so stoked. I was like, that's amazing. We had a ton of people last year that was the farthest they'd run or the longest they'd run, because the format of these are more conducive to it, right? You're not just running, 26.2 straight miles down the road. You have some time to ease into it. You're not burning your legs out early. So a lot of different reasons why the format is fun and cool, and it's super runner friendly.
Seems like you can kind of practice nutrition and fuel, because like if you have a big enough gap for the first section or the first phase, obviously if you have stomach issues, you can kind of work through it.
Well, and that's what's so fun about this, because it's weird, and we'll go into some of the nutrition and strategy on that side too a little bit later, but early on in the race, at least for ours, you have a much bigger time window to complete that lap. So there's really no sense of urgency. So you almost, like, your whole nutrition thing is almost totally different. You don't need to you don't need to consume calories. You're just kind of hanging out, walking, jogging, kind of chilling. But then it gets to a point and you can feel it coming. I know you see it, but you start to say, wait a second, I have to start really thinking about, oh, wait a second, if I need a gel, like, oh, I only have 30 seconds to go, like, rummage through the bottom of my bag or whatever. Like, you may not have 30 seconds to go find that gel, but if you need to, eat some calories. So that's all kind of part of the strategy that we'll get into later. But it's the events evolve big time within the event itself. And so that's what, from a race director standpoint, that's one of the coolest things to see, is to see all this stuff kind of unfolding and to see how participants are responding to it, because it's atypical. It's not everybody knows how to run the 5K, but not everybody knows how to do a last runner standing. And it's really fun to kind of see, strategies change and approaches change mid-race, which is kind of wild. All right, so here, this is our pace chart. As you can see, my quick bullet points here. Obviously, RD should put this out from a strategy standpoint. If anybody's running an event like this, make sure you consume this, understand this, familiarize yourself with this, use this to your advantage. This can really be, this can kind of make or break your event. Depending on what your goal is, this can make or break your event. Know what to expect, plan accordingly, set your own goals, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna pop out of here real quick and jump to here. This is just kind of a closer look at it. So again, specific to our event, clearly. And we'll post this for all the participants. But so we're gonna start at 8 o'clock, right? We got 20 minutes to run 1.35 miles. So that's keeping a 14 minute and 49 minute pace. Super simple. Again, the funky thing about these races are, a typical race, hey, everybody line up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gun goes, and everyone just goes sprinting out of the block, right? Everyone's like, hell yeah, just ready to go. Last run events are complete opposite. Everyone just starts walking. It's just kind of super uneventful, which is still one of the funniest things to see. But that's because there's no real advantage of sprinting out of the block. Caveats would be if you're trying to somehow psychologically freak the other runners out and you're saying, hey, I'm the big dog or whatever, and I'm gonna go, beat everyone's ass out of the gate. You could argue that. But I will tell you that the number of events that I've been a part of, either participating or racing, more times than not, the vast majority of the time, the ultimate winner or the last runner standing or last runners standing typically tend to be the people that are just kind of hanging out in the back. They're walking the laps. They're finishing at, they're finishing at 8 o'clock and 8:18. They got 2 minutes to, cool. All right, fix my shoe, take a quick swig, hang out, start walking up to the start line again, just kind of start getting ready. There's really no major advantage of speed when it comes to last runner standing events. It's totally about longevity. So again, here's lap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to keep it all at a 20-minute time increment. You guys can see here at lap number 6, we drop it down to 19 minutes. Here's your pace you need to maintain. Same thing. So we're going to go 5 laps at each time increment. Okay. After every 5 laps, we drop it 1 minute. All right. So after each 5 laps, here's our pop quiz with the bean bonk lap. Does anybody have an idea as what that means? That was a question we asked earlier. So just to give you some insight, every 5 laps, there's a bean bonk lap. Any idea? I know, totally random. That's why we kind of...
I can't imagine that you're running around hitting somebody with a beanbag.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
so,
assault
yeah.
That would be really cool.
So one of the things that we've done, again, this is specific to Psychoactive. Everybody's going to kind of have their own approach. What we've done is every 5 laps, just to kind of keep people engaged, throw people for a loop. And honestly, we do this just to kind of see who's going to take the bait, right? We're fishing. Every 5 laps, we do a premium lap. So there is the first person to finish that lap male, female, whatever it is, no matter where you're standing at the end of the event, if you're the first person back every 5 laps, you get a free bag of coffee. There's your bean bonk lap. Here's why I use bean bonk. Beans obviously for the coffee. Bonk is because you could literally blow up your entire race if you're out in a sprint finish. You could be walking 1.35 miles in just under 15 minutes. Or you can get caught up and try and win a prize, get in a sprint finish with somebody else who's also trying to win a prize and kind of ruin your event. That's up to the participants to figure out. That is not up to us. We're just dangling a little carrot out there just to see who's going to go after that. We also say you can only win it once. So theoretically, I'm making up theoreticals just to kind of help people think about this stuff. So theoretically, you get to, I'm making it up, you get to, here's mile 54. Here's also a bean bonk lap. Someone's going to win a bag of coffee then too. But if they've already won one, then they don't. So you got to think about, like, is now my chance to go after the premium prize, or do I want to wait? Like let some other people kind of win some of them first, let them blow the hamstrings out, and maybe I want to go for it on lap 20 here where I'm at mile 27. I don't know. We've just kind of thrown in this whole different wrinkle where we said, hey, we'll just see what happens. We love throwing stuff out there. Also, what you won't see on here is we're kind of collecting all kinds of other prizes and giveaways and all that stuff. We're just going to kind of do random hot laps where it's just going to be, we've got a scheduled, premium lap every 5. We may throw in, on lap number 1, we may throw in, I'm making it up, free t-shirt. We may throw in $50 gift certificate to, a restaurant. Maddie's Diner is one of the guys that's going to throw in, prizes for our event. Never know. Love this idea because, again, early on, you guys can see some of these paces here. It can be boring, and I said that earlier. Like, these events can be kind of like, all right, well, just kind of walking around, lap after lap. Some people start drinking beer early, like whatever they want, but like that's where this is totally unique and totally different. So we institute some of those premiums and incentives just to kind of completely throw people off and just kind of see how fun, how much fun people want to have.
I wonder if people are going to be like watching each other.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you look, let me go back. If you look, one of these photos I used, I'll show you exactly a photo from one of the event. This one, right? This one's a premium look. Last year we gave away Gooder sunglasses. This guy up here on the left, you can see Drew's behind him. This is on the home strip. They're like maybe 20 yards from the finish. So those guys sprinted a mile pretty early on to try and win a pair of sunglasses. This guy won, Drew didn't. But Drew in the background here, he was one of the top 10, maybe he was like 6th or something like that. But it's just kind of fun. So that's the point. Now there's not only is there the mental thing of saying I got to keep pace and all this stuff, but now there's the interpersonal challenge between people. So I'm laughing and smiling because I just love seeing how people interact. But it's just kind of fun to kind of throw in those different wrinkles and I think in my perspective that just kind of makes that makes the experience a little bit better, and it gives people a chance to say, hey, look, I didn't win, but walked away with a bunch of stuff. So, which is another thing back on here. If you see on our pace chart, I'm going to go back to the other one. We can zoom in here a little bit. On our pace chart, you can see right here at lap 10 for our lap schedule. You can see here's the half marathon prize. So again, we have prizes at half marathon. Let me zoom down. Here's another prize at marathon level. Here's another prize at 50K. And then here's another prize at 50 mile. So again, there's only one winner, as we said before, but if you keep, the longer you run, the more prizes you collect. So again, our goal is we want people walking away with just a, handful of swag and merch and prizes and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's obviously specific to Psychoactive. Each race director, each promoter is going to kind of do their own thing. Yeah, Matt.
Do you have the same rules for the mile prizes as you do as bean bonk? You can only win it once.
No. So anybody that completes a half marathon, they all get the half marathon prize.
Right, okay.
And for ours, it's going to be like this really cool, like it's like a clay coaster, some stickers, stuff like that. It has a Human Power Movement logo. My mom actually made 100 of these things, so thanks, Mom. Our marathon prize, let me think. Marathon prize is going to be a Human Power Movement bandana and a pin. Our 50K prize is going to be Human Power Movement like beach towel. And then our 50-mile prize is going to be this sun hoodie here. So last year it was stickers for the half marathon, the bandana for the marathon, hat, one of our hats for the 50K, and a hoodie for 50 mile. So again, I mean, this goes in another conversation, but I'm actually not, from a business standpoint, I'm making horrible decisions because theoretically I could lose a ton of money. I give out a ton of merch, and so I could end up losing money based on how much stuff people get. But that's a whole nother story. So I'm kind of banking on majority of people getting majority of the prizes, but not everybody getting all the prizes. If that happens, then that's awesome, and that's just a great experience, and I'll just need to figure out pricing next year, but is what it is. TBD on that one. All right, any questions on this? So again, you can kind of see we change our time every 5 laps. We kind of have some other prizes in there. Everyone's going to kind of have their own unique thing. Again, Matt, you said, you deduct 10 seconds each lap. Richard, I'm not sure what your format is. If you're going to have a static clock or if you're going to change it, but everybody will kind of have their own unique thing. But all race directors should have some sort of documentation where just kind of outline that schedule or that plan or that that lap schedule. Any questions on that? For those of you that are running Psychoactive, we will actually officially post this. I wanted you guys to get first view of it. So. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break from our session. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two so far, but we are here at Recover HQ with Recover founder and president Bill Johnson. Want to throw a quick thanks to them for supporting Rec 101 and also being able to bring this to you on YouTube. So Bill, thank you for supporting this and for doing what you're doing. Tell them a little bit about Recover if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, thanks for putting it on. We hope everybody's enjoying the programming. A big reason why we want to support things like this is because we're a mission-driven company. Mm-hmm. We've always aimed to educate and inspire people to be better stewards of the environment. I feel like one of the best ways to do that is to get outside and experience the outdoors yourself. Yeah. So, we hope everybody's enjoying it and finding a reason to continue to protect this place we all call home.
Well, that's exactly right. And let's get back to the action. We've got to figure out how we can get outside and get active and just enjoy life a little bit more. So stay tuned. All right, so preparation. This is critical here for last runner standing events. And again, there's no set or defined or like right or wrong way to do it. I would recommend say, hey, what are my goals going into this thing? All right, is my goal to win it? Well, then cool, like that's a different plan of action in order to go into a race and win it. Is my goal to say, hey, I want to run my first half marathon? Cool, that's a whole different plan. We had a bunch of people last year who said, hey, I've got an event tomorrow or whatever it is, and I just kind of use this as my shakeout run. Perfect, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Like use it however you want it. So the preparation for all these events are really kind of dependent on what your own individual goal is. I will say for this style of running, it's very different. Again, I would recommend doing, you can see it up here, alternative running events means alternative style of training. So instead of just going out for a 5-mile run, that's not what you're gonna do in this race format. Simulate what you would do in the race format. You can see shorter runs, the intermittent breaks, kind of that almost, it's a variation of kind of an interval training concept. Practice, this is huge. A lot of people find success in last runner standing events that have triathlon experience. Not because of the swimming or the biking, but because they understand how to have a quick transition. And I'm using that word specifically. Think of the start and finish area as a transition zone. For the triathletes out there, they know what I'm talking about. The runners need to think about that, saying, okay, if you look at the Ironman or the Xterra triathletes, they're setting everything up in transition, right? They know exactly where their shoes are. They know exactly where their swim cap is or their bike shoes. They know exactly where everything is. I would highly recommend that if you're doing one of these events, think about that. Plan your stuff out. Set your stuff out. Set it out chronologically. And you can kind of see it over here on the nutrition and gear side. All right, if I know I need to eat 100 calories an hour, whatever your nutritional thing is, cool. Set out prepackaged 100 calorie, whatever it is, bars, blocks, whatever, and set it out where you can grab it chronologically. Because there's going to be a time, and I guarantee you this, there's going to be a time where, again, you start thinking, oh shit, I don't have time to kind of do this stuff in between laps. I have to have it all set because I'm in 10 seconds before the next one starts, grab it, and I'm going. You can't sit there and wait in transition zone. That's totally different than, again, an ultra marathon where you can kind of hang out at the aid station for 2 to 3 minutes, figuring out what you want. You can walk through an aid station, you can do whatever. That is totally different for last runner standing events. The last bullet point, know where your strengths are, right? I mean, just, that's where it kind of goes back to that. Use that pace chart to kind of plan, right? It's okay, I know I can walk at this particular pace. I know I need to keep this particular pace if I want to hit this mile marker, all that kind of stuff. So use that pace chart as a kind of a training tool to plan for your specific kind of like race or your goals. So let's bump to strategy. Again, I'll kind of talk high level here. The strategy for this could kind of be at its own completely separate session. Strategy, again, there's so many things that go into it. Depends on what you're trying to do. Are you just trying to say, hey, are you trying to, I want to run as slow as possible to maintain a just slow moving. I just don't want to stop. I want to finish my lap 10 seconds before the next one starts, and I just want to keep moving. I don't want to stiffen up. That's a good strategy. Other people may say, hey, cool, I want to run and I want to get back a few minutes before where I can then kick up my feet, get off my feet, relax a little bit. That's a good strategy. It all depends on what you're trying to do. So strategy is huge. The most important thing is know that, again, longevity is more important than speed. Again, it's an endurance race. It is not a speed race. You may, towards the end, if there's kind of a few people battling it out and they get to that tiebreaker spot, like speed clearly comes in at that stage, but that's way down the line. That's at the end of this thing. One of the things on here too, and we saw this last year at our event, I know even when I did Mass Extinction, like I wasn't real great running shape. I mean, I stay active, but I think I clipped off 30 miles or something like that. I was like, man, I haven't really been training. I haven't been running, but these events are more conducive to going further and running farther because you have some downtime. You're not under consistent stress, whether that be running or trying to catch the guy in front of you. You're kind of, you have some time with these types of events. Mentioned it before, just decide if you want to rest or keep moving, right? If you get stiff after a few minutes, you may want to keep moving. If you need to get off your feet, then you may want to sit down, all that kind of stuff. That's just kind of all this stuff that you need to kind of be thinking about as you're preparing for these events. Touched on it before, plan out your nutrition, your gear, all that kind of stuff. I'll say it one more time just to make it clear. Think of it as, hey, I've got my own little transition zone that I need to set up for myself based on how I'm going to use my gear, use my nutrition, use my rest, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Obviously, the last one, be willing to adapt on the fly. That's just kind of that's an obvious one. Nutrition and gear, same thing. Create your transition zone. Shade and chair is critical in this one too. Depends on where the event is, right? If you've got some coverage or if it's wide open, if you're literally doing a last runner standing event, you may be out there all day long. If it's a cold weather event, like, your new Ice Age event, that may be a little bit easier, but you still may be in the sun all day. And so like that, if you have a few minutes to sit down and rest, kick up your feet and get in the shade, that can get you another few miles. Right, so I would highly recommend that everybody kind of, bring a chair, bring some shade, whatever. we've got a nice new tent sponsor on board that does they actually do recycled tents, which we're tree hugging hippies. So we got a recycled tent, but they're going to have a whole row of tents set up as well for Psychoactive. So that'll really provide a lot of shade, a little tent village for everybody. That'll be good for this year. So just to kind of give people some reprieve. Obviously, our event is in September, can still be pretty hot here in the Carolinas. So again, that can make or break it. I didn't put on our pace chart, but we do freezy pop laps or like icy pops. So we'll break those out once we get later in the day, hotter in the day. We do icy pops just as a fun little. It's amazing what an icy pop can do for your morale when you're when you're 30 or 40 miles into a run. It's the simple things. You guys get the rest of it, right? Laying the nutrition out chronologically, pre-packaged nutrition. Eat and drink on the move, right? So again, we'll have an aid station right at Race HQ. But again, if that clock's going, you can't just sit there and kind of say, all right, what do I want to get? And da-da-da. It's like you need to grab and go. I mean, this is the exact example of a grab and go type of event. So, and that could be into the training. You could say, hey, look, I may need to think about eating and running as I'm kind of preparing for this and simulating that race experience. So all things that are kind of all part of this whole, I guess I put it under preparation here, but it's really all kind of strategy. Same thing. It's not just, we've all done it. Show up at the 5K. Yeah, I can run a 5K, whatever. I'll just line up. Gun says go. I'm just running, whatever. You don't have to think about that stuff. Last runner standing races you have to think about. All right, so other questions and considerations. We obviously talked about what the hell does a bean bonk lap mean. I spilled the beans earlier. We'll give some of this coffee away later today at the raffle prizes. Pros and cons of predetermining your own personal goal. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So again, I'll use an example. Our buddy Brian, his goal was, I'm going to run 50 miles. I'm using it as a training run for my next event, and I'm out after that. Well, if that was his goal, then he did a horrible job of sticking to his goal because he ended up running 57 or 8 mile, whatever it ended up being, and getting into this race with this other guy. So he did a shitty job of sticking with his goal, but he was having a blast. He was having fun. So there's pros and cons. The pro is like, all right, cool. Go into it, know what your goal is, keep pushing yourself. You can get to your goal, whether it be distance or time. The con is, again, these races are conducive to really doing more than what you think you can. And so if you say, hey, I'm going to run 20 miles and then you stop, you may cut yourself short because you could inadvertently sandbag yourself on these style events because you can really kind of do way more than what you think. So again, that's just, I put it under this other considerations. Just kind of think about that, right? Like I'm not here to tell you what to do. I mean, that's not the goal here, but it's just to kind of think about, all right, how do you want to approach this and how do you want to kind of mentally prepare for this thing? Same thing, we've talked about this, sitting or standing between laps. That's going to be a personal thing. Next one, I love this one. I think this is hysterical. This is one of the most important bullet points of this entire presentation. What happens if I need to go to the bathroom during the event? That's a great question. That's something that participants need to think about. We just got done talking about coffee. I think we all kind of know what happens with playing accordingly. So here's what happens. And again, we know, like early in the race, you're walking, hanging out, talking, whatever. All of a sudden, there's a point where you don't have time to mess around. You have to run. And that point is probably around the time where you've been running for a number of hours, drinking, all this kind of stuff. You may not have the opportunity to go to the bathroom. That's another kind of weird, super funky part of these style events. But like, you go out and run a half or full or whatever, you can stop and go to the bathroom whenever, right? Doesn't matter. On these, the clock keeps going. So it was hysterical last year to see this light bulb pop up in runners' heads. They're like, oh shit, like I don't have time to do these things that I typically have time to do. So that, I don't have the roadmap of how to like figure that out, but that's just kind of a fun, weird consideration to think about as these events unfold. Topography, is huge. So again, our event is on this really cool hemp and wildflower farm called Blackberry Ridge Farms in the Charlotte area here. And when we were working with the family about building some new trails and stuff like that, we found these 2 super steep, like really punchy climbs. And again, as a race director, I'm trying to mess with people as much as possible. I said, we gotta get those in there. They're probably a 45-degree climb, and it's not long. It's about a 20-foot, 15 to 20 feet of elevation change, but it's only within a couple feet. And so we found 2 of those little punchy climbs on this route, and so we've introduced both of those. And there's some really, really great photos that y'all can see from last year. But again, same idea. We're trying to mess with people. I know Max Extinction's got a pretty aggressive climb in the middle of that thing too. And for some people they may not like that, but for others, I think they just love it. So that goes back into kind of understanding, look at the pace chart, understand what you're getting into, use that to your advantage, walk when you can, find a routine. It may be that, everyone says, I'm going to, run the flats and hike the hills, right? That's pretty common for long distance running. Find a routine, get into a process, get into kind of figure out what works for you. There's one more thing on that I was going to say. I don't remember what it was, but maybe it'll come up later. Familiarize yourself with the aid stations. Same thing. We have one, but everybody should really be. If you can be self-sufficient on this, you're going to be way better off. If you don't need to go over here to an aid station to get stuff, you can just kind of be in your spot. You have maybe your car or your little transition area. If you can be self-sufficient where you can control all the variables, you're going to be in way better shape. If you have to go over to the aid station all the time to get your stuff, if you have to go back to your car between laps, that's going to be a short-lived way to to kind of stay in this race. Again, last one on there, stay mentally engaged throughout. I mean, that's a pretty standard one. Again, this is, you can pop in the earphones for this one, but it's you're going to need to be thinking throughout this thing as well. Let's see, what else? What other things? What other kind of oddball things? Is there anything that you've kind of seen at some of your events there?
If the lap is between 1 to 2 miles, only beer per lap. If it's 5K or more, you can take shots of Fireball.
There it is. Okay, good. We'll put that in the notes. I think that's critical. My bad. Should have put. Didn't really call out alcohol consumption mid. Yeah. I don't know if one of our. Oh, here you go. Actually, yeah. We're doing a preview event for Psychoactive next weekend, where we're going to walk the course. We're also doing a roadside cleanup, but. This gentleman here, one of our friends, Chris here, early in the race, you can see he's got a Sierra Nevada beer there. So he did a beer lap early. You will also see that Chris, let me go back to this photo. Where is it here? Chris is also handing Branson. So Chris did not, he was not the last runner standing. I don't know if that was related to this or not. But actually, here's Caleb. Caleb's the guy that won it this past year. But yeah, I mean, we're totally, and obviously we're big Sierra Nevada fans. We also, for Psychoactive, have each runner gets a home brew. So every runner gets a homebrew beer too. So we bottled that and have it labeled and everything. We kind of created a cool little Psychoactive label again this year. So again, we're trying to add some fun little aspects to it. Yeah, good call. Fireball. Yep. We are on a private farm. So it's kind of a BYOB or BYO Fireball, whoever you want to call it. Outside of that, guys, I think we are at the freebies. So we'll toss out some freebies. I think everyone's going to walk away with something here. Hey, real quick, this is an interesting one. So this is JoJ Bars. They do a bunch of flavors. This flavor is, you guys can't see it, but we'll give this out. Pancakes and bacon. So that may be an early run flavor of choice for you guys. I don't know if that pairs well with Fireball or not, but we'll let you guys decide. Other than that, this QR code, if anybody watching or whatever, they can scan it or whatever, but that'll go to the video recap That goes to our YouTube channel. Of course, I guess if they're watching, they would already be on our YouTube channel. So this is for you guys here in the room. Other than that, any questions?
How many years have you been doing this?
This is the second year of Psychoactive. Yeah, last year was the first year. This is second year, and so last year we cap it at 100 people. Again, it's a small kind of private farm, but last year we were at 50 or so, and this year it should sell out. I think we're at 85 or so now. So that's another thing from a race director standpoint. I need to say, all right, cool. I need to basically double everything. That's volunteers. That's I need to think about. All right, 100 people going down into the same trail is very different than 50 people. So all those kind of things I need to think about. But we're ready for it. I mean, I've been doing races for 15 years now, maybe, which is insane. Makes me feel old. And then I've run a few of them too. Again, I ran Matt's
3 years ago?
couple, something like that. Yeah.
3 years ago. Were you interviewing people at that time?
Oh well, yeah.
I was the mascot and not the race.
Were you really? Nice. Yeah, don't, for anybody here, anybody watching, do not go to my ultra sign up results because they are horrible. They are not good at all. I shouldn't even said that because everyone's going to go to it, but maybe I'll change the QR code and that'll go to my ultra sign up results. Maybe that'd be a good way to do it. So, but yeah, I've been doing events for literally 15 years. And so, and again, all of our events are try to be non-traditional. So that's why we're doing the Last Runner Standing. Perennial is going to be our new time-based event where that's a 5K course. And it's as many laps as you can do within 3 hour, 6 hour, or 10 hour. And so we're excited about bringing that out new in January. So, and we do an adventure race. We did a mountain bike race, all kinds of stuff. So trying to get people moving a little bit. So, but I have been a race director and a participant in the Last Runner Standing events, and I don't know which one's more fun, to be honest with you. I mean, they are just they're a blast on both sides. Yeah. Both are exhausting in their own right. And I think maybe Brian's the only one that was out there last year. Oh, yeah, were you out there last year? No. Okay. I'm on the microphone the entire damn time. I mean, it is exhausting, and I'm not even running, right? And I'm just out acting like a clown. So, point is, everybody has some fun at these ones.
Most people just hang out the entire day.
Yeah. I mean, and some people. I think there was a big concert in town last year, like I think it was Zach Brown or something. So a bunch of people went to the concert. Some people had other races the next day. But there was, volunteers coming in and out all throughout the day. And like I said, a lot of people, wherever they were, hanging out afterwards, right? You can see one of our friends, Kim, in the pink hat. She didn't run this past year, but she was out hanging out and volunteering. I mean, it's just, and that's why for Human Powered Movement, at least, I don't call them races. I call them events. And even above and beyond that, I call them community gatherings. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's like, yeah, we need people to register and all that stuff, but like, come on out and hang out. Like somebody was wearing that, the big inflatable dino costume last year, just scaring the shit out of people after one of the turns. It's awesome. Loved it. That's on the recap video on the Psychoactive webpage. But yeah, so I mean, it's a good day to kind of celebrate the running community here in Charlotte, and all the events are like that, right? They're very much the ultra vibe. It's very different than the typical 5K, 10K, as I keep saying.
And they're a lot more fun to be a watcher as
Yeah.
an audience member,
Yep.
because particularly on a short loop.
Because there's
like
always
that,
action.
There's always,
Yeah.
and it only gets more and more intense
Yep.
lap after lap. So
Yep.
just being a person who gets to sit and watch it, it's the most exciting format I've seen.
Yeah, and at Rates HQ, I mean, we have, we got the food and we've got, all the coffee and all this stuff. So we get, all the participants get the homebrewed beer, like I said, Sierra Nevada beer, but we're giving out icy pops and beer and everything to it's not a free-for-all, obviously, but, we're out there saying, hey, we appreciate everyone coming out. If you're running or if you're not, we want to, we're all part of this thing together. So we're, the beer's flowing, the high fives are flowing. It's a pretty cool vibe. And you're literally, for our event, you're literally running through wildflower fields and hemp fields. It's just incredible. I mean, it's pretty cool.
How many miles did Caleb do?
it was under 60. It was like 58 or 59 or something like that. Yeah. Which again, this is specific to Psychoactive. My goal was to knock everybody out by sunset. He finishes like in the dark. Like it was pretty badass. Like he defeated me. Caleb defeated me, which Caleb was.
That you should come prepared with a headlamp.
Exactly.
Just to be on the safe
So the one of my favorite quotes. And Caleb was the first person to sign up for it this year too, by the way. One of my favorite quotes from last year was something about when we started getting close, and it was within 3 or 4 people, and everyone started talking shit a little bit, and someone was like, asked Caleb, he was like, "What are you gonna do? Like, if it gets dark?" He's like, "I got plenty of batteries." And he was just locked in. Everyone was like, "Oh shit, okay." Like, and he was, man. And that's part. He was. I don't think he was ever not first or second last person across the line. Like that was his strategy. And I'm not saying that was right or wrong, but for him, that's what worked. He had zero interest in anything with speed. He was just there. I'm just going to keep a level, sneak in under the finish line. I'm going to keep that pace, and I could go for 2 straight days. And that was his strategy, and that's what ended up winning. Everyone else was winning all those premium, the Goodyear sunglasses and all the other giveaways, and he was like, "That's not my goal. My goal is to win," and he did. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
One of the things that I love about this style of race is when you get down to like the last 5 people or so that are running, the folks that are there cheering you on are the people that were running, against you all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the folks that were your competitor are now encouraging you to go back out there for one more lap.
And they're all liquored up too.
Yeah, they've been drinking for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. You've been running, they've been drinking.
Yeah, so I mean that's to me one of the things that's unique about this style of race that you don't get in any other style of race.
Trying to see what's in Chris's hand. I don't know if that's a beer or not. I don't think that's a beer, but yeah, no, it's exactly right. That's why it's cool. And this year we're gonna have a food truck out there and everything. So I mean, it'll, music's going and food trucks there, and it's just beers are flowing. It's a good vibe. So yeah.
What's at the aid station?
So one of our good, a group friends of Human Power Movement is called Athlos Media. So they do a bunch of photos, like they do race photos, as well as our buddy Wes Maxwell. He shoots all the Human Power Movement stuff. So a bunch of photographers out there, but Athlos Media shoots photos, and they also do aid station support. And so I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, it's your typical, your M&Ms, your pretzels, your, I don't know if they use Tailwind or whatever it is. They do, I think, picky bars. I don't know if they're going to do PB&Js this year, but I mean, it's a decent little spread, soda, all kinds of stuff. So there'll be plenty. What I always tell people is, again, self-sufficiency is key. Like, it's there for everybody, 100%, but don't rely on it. Right, if it's something like that's not sitting well with me today or whatever it is, like, or if you know what works for you, then you're better off being self-sufficient. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, that aid station is going to be set up right in kind of this HQ area, but I don't know like where people are going to set up their own spots too, right? So like if I mean, they're at 100 people, like everyone's got to park somewhere, and so like, all right, where am I going to set up? Is it at my car, or is it at kind of the transition area, like what all is it? And so everything will be there, but there's going to be a point that you may not have time to grab stuff from the aid station. It'll be literally right at where we start, but don't rely on it. You know what I mean? It's there for everybody, 100%, but it's kind of hard to explain, but there's so many variables that go into this thing that, if you if 5 other people are grabbing stuff and you can't, right? Like there's all kinds of things that are going on throughout the day. So, and for ours, like obviously it's only 1.13 miles or 1.35 miles. So it's not like you're going to go out on this big 10-mile loop and not going to be able to get aid. Like that's the beauty of our short compressed loop, is that you're always close to it. You're always close to your your stuff, your bag drop or whatever, whatever you're setting up. Some events, if you're, a 8-mile loop or whatever it is, you may not have immediate access to everything, but on ours, you certainly will. Yeah, it'll be fully stocked. It's probably a shorter answer for it. Cool. Any other questions? Oh, here it is. Open Q&A. Awesome. Well, we'll stick around. I'm probably going to have another beer or 7 and hang out for a little bit. Thank y'all for coming. Thanks for Recover for having us.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you've learned a couple things from today's Recreation 101 session. Before we sign off, we are here at Recover HQ with Bill Johnson of Recover. Huge thanks once again for them to support this whole series, as well as give you the tools, knowledge, and understanding to get out and enjoy nature in different ways.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for putting this on in Human Power Movement. But thanks to all of you who participated and took part in Outdoor Rec 101. Being the title sponsor is really important to us as a brand. You know, as we talk a lot about sustainability, we really think of it as really the constant pursuit to do better. We're always trying to improve our systems, the way we do things, and just give more people access and exposure to do things the right way. And we feel like Outdoor Rec 101 really speaks to that. So we're really excited for all these new outdoor enthusiasts who've completed the class and look forward to seeing you guys out there. So thanks again for putting it on and thanks to all of you for participating.